You guys are on. We've got 341 brokers on and counting.
Thank you, Tove. Good morning to all of our brokers, colleagues, and friends joining us for yet another edition of iTOOsday. Thank you so much for clearing space this morning for a very important discussion, very fun discussion with some great people that we have joining us today. I'll start introductions shortly, but we'll just give it about a minute just to let a few people in the room. Just a reminder about the new functionality that we're using for these webinars. We're using Microsoft Teams Town Hall. So it is a little bit of an adjustment from the previous Teams webinar sessions that we had. All of your questions will go in the Q&A as opposed to the chat function. You're more than welcome to post questions, comments, compliments for our panelists on the line, and any other feedback that you may have. We love these to be interactive sessions, so I'll be monitoring the chat box alongside Candice and our IT team in the background. But just so that you know, with these town hall functionalities, it's the Q&A in which you write your comments and questions. I'll repeat that again once we have all of our panelists on, but just for everyone else who has joined us so promptly, good morning to everybody on the line.
Toby and Caesar, can we just check Tony's struggling to get in? It says it keeps kicking her out.
Okay.
Okay, no problem, Ken. We'll check for that.
Thank you.
I don't know where you are all based. Are you in Joburg or Cape Town?
We have been blessed to have a Johannesburg winter.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
With the winter phobia that I have, you can even just see from the massive coat that I'm wearing, and it's not even that cold today. I'm not sure that I could survive Cape Town winter. My ancestry is not built to survive that sort of a thing. Where are you at?
I am actually in Cape Town, but I tell you that today and yesterday were the first okay-ish days. You know, it's sunny. There's a bit of sunshine. It stopped raining, but it has been horrendous. I think it's been the wettest, coldest winter in apparently 30 years or something. So, yeah.
I've heard that from a couple of people, and, you know, bless you all for enduring that. It's not something I personally could fathom.
Yeah. We went to Joburg the other day. It was so nice.
Yes, Tove?
If you guys will, just as we're waiting for Tony to join, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of our brokers that voted for us. Anna, I2 won the best UMA in the FIA Awards last week, Thursday.
Congratulations.
We're over the moon, but it is all thanks to our brokers. So we really thrive on your feedback, guys. And if there's anything that we can do better, other than the glitches of iTOOsdays that we've had over the past 4 weeks, I promise those are sorted. But other than that, please continue to give us your feedback. Please continue to support us. We really do appreciate you guys, and we wouldn't have won that if it wasn't for you. So really, really a big thank you to all of our brokers.
Thanks, Tove. It really is a team effort. We wouldn't be the underwriting managing agency that we are without the support of our brokers. You are the foundation of everything that we do here at i2. So big thank you to all of the brokers who supported us and continue to support us and voted for us at the FIA Awards. Having underwriting managing agency of the year is a big responsibility, and we carry it with pride and great respect for you all as well. So thank you to everyone who participated in that. And we have Tony on the line. Hi, Tony.
Hi, sorry. I think there's some MFA on your link. No, it was so sorry.
We can discuss that in terms of security today. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it said I wasn't authorized to attend the event. So I was like, okay. Hi, Anna. Hi, Candice.
Hey,
hi. By the way, you are confirming that this is Tony and she is the real deal. Okay. Seeing all of your good mornings, and I think we'll just get going because we're about 5 minutes into the session. So now that we have got both Tony and Anna on the line and Candice, I think we can go ahead and kickstart this iTOOsday. So it is still Women's Month here in South Africa, and what a privilege it is that we get to celebrate a month of celebrating women, their remarkable achievements and the contributions that we make to South Africa. And in line with having Women's Month, we decided to have the session today called Cyber Queens Beyond the Policy. So welcome to today's webinar on the critical intersection of cybersecurity and insurance beyond the policy. As digital threats evolve, the role of insurance brokers in guiding clients through the complexities of cyber risks has never been more vital. We're joined by 3 industry leaders who will share their insights on how to navigate these challenges, protect against emerging threats, and prepare for the future. So on the line, we've got Anna Collard. Anna, if you wouldn't just mind waving. Yes, exactly. It's a stock standard thing to do on a webinar is wave to everyone. And we've also got Tony Bauke. Hi, Tony. I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hey, Tony, you must tell me if I...
No, you are.
Okay, awesome. We also have a very familiar, friendly face here at iTOO, Candice Toprick, otherwise known as Lady Lives. Candice, how many years have you been at iTOO?
9 on the 1st of August.
Just celebrated her 9th anniversary, so we'll definitely be familiar to the brokers on the line. I'm Mamwedi. I've not moved into the cyber insurance team. I'm still heading up. I used to work very closely with this team, which is why it was important for me to assist in facilitating the session, as well as the fact that it's such important information for everyone in terms of the topics of discussion and what all of the ladies on the line contributes to the markets. So I'm still heading up the event liability products cluster, but in everything that we do with iTOO, cyber is also one of the key foundations of what we do, because if you're not secure, you're not really protecting yourself and your company and your clients adequately. So within that, I'll just do a bit of an introduction into who our panelists are today. So Anna Collard is the SVP of Content Strategy and Evangelist for Know Before Africa, where she drives security awareness across the African continent. Anna founded Popcorn Training, which was acquired by Know Before in 2018, and she holds a Master of Science in Cyber Psychology by the University of Applied Sciences in Vienna. Congrats on that, Anna. Anna won the Global Cybersecurity Woman of the Year Award in 2023 in the People's Choice category, Women in Tech Innovations Throughout Africa in 2020. She was also featured in the top 50 women in cybersecurity for Africa in 2020 and in the 100 influential women in tech South Africa by Brainstorm magazine in 2024. Amazing accomplishments. And as a member of the World Economic Forum's Global Future Council of the Future of Metaverse for the 2023-2024 term, as well as the member of the World Economic Forum's Bridging the Cyber Skills Gap community. Ms. Collard is also a founding board member of the MIDO Cyber Academy program, aimed at underserved communities in the Western Cape to bridge the cyber skills divide. Next, we've got Candice. Candice Toprick is the underwriting lead for personal cyber at iTOO Special Risks. She was a cyber insurance underwriter before joining iTOO in 2016 and has an intricate knowledge of cybercrime and cyber insurance. Candice has appeared on and spoken about cyber on broadcast channels such as ETV, ENCA, CNBC Africa, and Cliff Central. She's also featured and has articles published in The Star, Cape Argus, Cape Times, and many more. Aside from graduating from the University of Johannesburg with a certificate in cybersecurity, Candice is also a certified associate of the Institute of Bankers. Apologies. And the third person on our panel today is Tony Bauke. Tony is the managing director of Trinexia, and she has enjoyed a highly successful professional career in the corporate world as an entrepreneur, and now in the vibrant and fast-paced world of cybersecurity. As the Managing Director of Cybersecurity South Africa, Tony is responsible for the sourcing and acquisition of world-class security technologies, the development of a vibrant and productive distribution channel, and the successful deployment of these technologies at our customers and partners. So now that we've introduced these amazing, remarkable women, let's dive into the essential conversation of safeguarding the digital landscape. Okay, so Anna, first question goes to you. With your background in cyber psychology, how do you see the role of human behavior in cybersecurity breaches, and what strategies can insurance brokers implement to mitigate these risks?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that intro as well. So if we look at any kind of data breach report or, like any cyber incident, in a lot of the cases, I mean, I don't want to quote any numbers because, I don't really believe the 90% number, but let's say there's a large proponent of it where a human factor was involved at least. So what happens is that typically when the adversary or the threat actor tries to get into an environment, what they will do, just because it is easier than trying to hack through sophisticated technology, is they try and hack a human. So they get somebody to either click on a link or download something that's infected, or inadvertently like hand over their credentials, and they try to basically through that person or through that human get into the environment. What I really dislike a lot in our industry is when people say, oh, the humans are the weakest links. I disagree with that, but they are definitely more in the firing line. So it's really important that we, from a defense point of view, are aware of that. And then rather than saying that the humans are the weakest link, is try to build the human firewall as one of our strongest assets. And that means we really need to bring everybody on board. It can't just be the one IT manager or the security person. It needs to be everyone, including executives, the secretary, everyone needs to be aware of the role that they play and also empowered and equipped to do the right thing. So that's really, I really believe strongly that, and my master's was actually on mindfulness, like how can we use mindfulness techniques to help people to make less mistakes and navigate safely in online environments. So this is a very human kind of way to help people, and when I say people, I don't just mean like employees, but even including our children, right? Like to navigate this crazy world that we are in, where you can't trust anything anymore. You can't trust the news. You can't trust what your granny sends you on WhatsApp. There's deep fakes everywhere. The disinformation that's making the rounds is just horrendous. So being mindful, funny enough, is actually one of those techniques or controls that we can bring into this space, which at first glance, many people will say, well, what does that to do with cybersecurity? But there's a lot to it. And I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay. No, I'd agree. I think it definitely overwhelms a lot of us. Humans are creatures of habits, and the behavioral changes are instituted over time. I know every month when I have to update, or however long I have to update computer password or whatever else password. For me, I'm just like, I wasn't built to have this many passwords.
Nobody is.
I've run out of ideas. I'm not creative enough. But in that way, that human behavior of being a creature of habits and wanting to sort of acclimatize to what's familiar does make us insecure in these types of environments. And it's important that the ecosystem in which we either work in terms of the companies that we work for or our families, that we institute that sort of familiarity in terms of us as a community, to say that we do need to change our behaviors in order to make us a little bit more secure. And within that, Candace, sort of understanding cyber insurance. With your deep expertise in cyber insurance, how is the landscape of cyber insurance evolved over the recent years, especially concerning personal cyber risks?
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for your time, everybody. So the cyber landscape has undergone significant transformation. If we look back to 10 years ago, when I started doing cyber, in a 12-month period, I received one cyber request. One, okay, in 12 months. We are now receiving up to, some of us, up to 300 requests a month. So the client understanding has significantly changed. And exactly like Anna has pointed out, we don't like to say that the human is the weakest link, but the human is 100% the target. Why do you rob a bank? Because that's where the money is. But instead of trying to hack Standard Bank, let's go for Candace, who's just sold her property and has R1 million in her bank account. Let me pretend to be the estate agent. We must remember that historically, cyber insurance was a policy focused on large corporations. It provided cover against a network breach or a privacy breach, but buying cover as a human being for your individual exposure, it just didn't exist. Mm-hmm. So with the rise of smart home devices, increased use of online banking, shopping, proliferation of social media, this really contributed to a need to have a personal cyber policy. So we tackled that approach with both hands, and we created our My Solution policy, which is a policy that provides comprehensive cover for you as an individual, wide of your business exposure, which is traditionally what a cyber policy would cover.
I'm a My Solution policy holder myself.
Yes,
I
you
think it's
are.
important that all of our brokers on the line, it's not necessarily about us stating the importance of providing this cover for your clients. It's for you as an individual, for you as a parent, for you as a sibling. We're all exposed at the end of the day, which is something important that we're trying to highlight today, is to say there's none of us that can be secure enough. And there's none of us who, you may change your password every day. The cyber landscape has evolved in such a way that there's just so many gaps, and people do this as their profession to try and breach your security. So in that way, it's for everybody. It's not just necessarily for your clients. And Tony, I just wanted to pivot to you to say, what do you see as the biggest cyber security challenges facing insurance brokers today, and how can they overcome these obstacles?
Yeah, just first of all, thank you very much, and pleased to meet everyone. We can't see all your faces, but thanks so much. And no, so I think that, listen, it's an incredibly difficult landscape that we're operating in at the moment. It's continually evolving, it's changing. As we come up with more protective mechanisms, the threat actors get more aggressive. And I think that if we're looking at, basically, I think the AI is a big thing at the moment. I think that, Anna made mention of the deep fakes. And obviously, machine learning, as good as AI has been for us in business, and it's been an enabler, it's something that we've most certainly got to encourage customers to look at some AI-powered security solutions. And I think that from an insurance perspective, obviously, as brokers, everyone's got to understand what these emerging threats are and keep on top of them so they can advise their customers.
Absolutely.
I think the evolution of ransomware as well and extortion tactics, I think we've seen an absolute spike in that of late. And I think I probably think the best advice I can give to insurance brokers is they can't possibly keep on top of all the trends. I mean, we can talk about all the trends, we can say, this is what's happening, but at the end of the day, they should be partnering with cybersecurity firms and to obviously give them advice. When I entered the industry 8 years ago, Anna was one of my mentors, and really it's about reaching out to professionals that are out there. Cloud is obviously another one. Everyone's obviously, with everyone migrating to the cloud, businesses migrating to the cloud, there are risks, and there are specialist cloud companies out there who can advise businesses. And so it's not just the migration, it's protecting your data when it's there. And I think it keeps going back to education, and Anna's has been superb at this, but it's educating your clients and on what's going on out there. And I think, really reaching out to the community, attending events, speaking to vendors that understand what's happening out there. I think there's a huge rise in supply chain attacks. We've seen that. And I think really it's that brokers should be informing their customers that they should be doing risk analysis on their third-party providers. I think that's a big one. If you look at the latest breaches, what's happening is not the company that's being breached, it's their third-party supplier, and that's how they're getting in. And again, that's, and I think that's a challenge for insurers, is really looking at, obviously your risk landscape changes all the time, so your risk profile changes all the time. So it's very different to household and motor insurance that's, not static, but it's,
right. It's pretty consistent.
Yeah. So, I think probably also, other trends, we always speak about, I know that COVID obviously accelerated it, is remote work security. But I saw the other day on LinkedIn, Grant Hughes posted something about, the right policies, enforced for remote work. I think we've all come to the conclusion that people are working, at home a lot. And I think we've got to have the right policies in place. So as much as we've got VPNs and we've got, the right software on their PCs, I think they've got to be the right policies that have been implemented. So I think, obviously, by and large, really reaching out to the community and just, from a broker perspective, there are professionals out there, there are organizations, obviously advising your customers as well that don't have the skills. Everyone talks about the cybersecurity skills shortage. And again, mentioning, and again, the Medo Academy, the industry is doing a lot to foster skills. And I think we're doing a very good job of it. But at the same time, companies are short-staffed and are working with less budget than before. So if you can outsource your security, I mean, I would suggest that.
Yeah. It's actually very interesting because obviously we try to be at the forefront as iTOO in providing as much information that we can. We've got Cyber Thursdays frequently, and a lot of iTOOsdays that are related to the cyber topic, just so that we can be at the forefront of informing not only just our markets, but whoever else can benefit from this. And within the trends that Tony just mentioned, Candice, I don't know if maybe you want to put a parallel to, you've made some recent product updates in terms of the My Solution offering. How do you see some of those trends in relation to how you've adapted the products to suit some of those policy triggers that we see?
Awesome. Wonderful question. Thank you. So we've had to really relook at our My Solution policy. So when we started this, we sent a survey out to a whole bunch of brokers and said, what would you want the policy to cover? Bearing in mind that the broker is our client, we don't deal with the end customer. And
Yes.
we created the policy around that. And then within 6 months, the feedback was the limits aren't really high enough. What about this? What about that? Etc. So we had to really re-look at our product and make something better. So we added on things like express kidnapping. So express kidnapping is when you are taken and you are held against your will and you are forced to withdraw money from an ATM or transfer funds out of your account. Not an insurable cover under any other policy at all, but something that is such a huge issue right now. So if we look statistically, there were 800 reported cases of all kidnappings. That's kidnap for ransom, express kidnapping, etc. There were 800 reported cases in 2021, and now we're looking at about 4,500 a month, a total 2 years later. Okay, so it's something that is happening. We are seeing school children who are in Bolts and Ubers being kidnapped and forced to withdraw funds, etc. So we really had to look at our policy and given the increased sophistication of these phishing attacks. So we received a claim notification last week on somebody who received a call from their own bank's fraud department. So it said blah, blah, bank's fraud department. They answered the call. They were told that their account was being hacked. They had to move all of their funds out of their account so that their money was safe, which they duly did, and obviously had transferred it into the hacker's account. But if you received a call, if you had Truecaller on your phone and it says ABC Bank Fraud Department, who you happen to bank with, would you know that that's a scam? Chances are not, so the increased risk of these highly sophisticated phishing attempts and vishing and now there's quishing and everything. It's just crazy. There's just no way to keep up. So we really had to change our policy. And I, having done the research, genuinely believe we have the most comprehensive policy in the market. Our premiums are the most affordable. We cover the most. We, do a family sort of package, etc. So something that we've really tried to keep up with the evolving threat landscape, bearing in mind that these changes do take time and these hackers are always 10 steps ahead.
I think the struggle sometimes is when we talk about any type of insurance covers, but particularly these emerging risks in sort of the side of cyber landscape and beyond, is that as insurers, we almost seem fear-mongering. And I just want to say it's actually not about us planting a seed of doubt and terror and fear. It's about informing you so that you know that these are the realities that we're facing. This is not a uniquely South African type of concern. This is worldwide. This is the world that we live in now. We all live online. We all live with devices. So as opposed to seeing this as I'm concerned about these emerging trends and emerging threats, empower yourself with knowledge so that you know what policies applicable to you or what should I be doing to better the knowledge that I have, as opposed to being fearful of what may occur next. And within that, I just wanted to also pivot to sort of the cyber skills shortage that we may be seeing. Because there's the skills in terms of you being a professional, and we know that we need to sort of have more people in STEM. There's a big focus on women in STEM particularly, but we do sort of need to bridge the gap in terms of the cyber skill sets that people have. So, Anna, I wanted to ask you, because you're involved with the World Economic Forum's initiative to bridge the cyber skills gap. What steps should the insurance industry take to address the skills gap and ensure that their teams are adequately prepared to handle any cybersecurity threats?
Yeah, thanks. I'm just like still fermenting what everybody else said before me, because I'd like to do some. I'd like to add to that. First of all, I think was it 4,000 kidnapping cases a month, Candace?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, the SAP's latest report said that it was 4,577 a month for the third quarter of 2023.
Oh,
reported.
Yeah.
And obviously they don't all get reported, which so how much is it truly?
Yeah. So I just wanted, before I go into the skills shortage thing, there's just a comment I wanted to make. I'm obviously not in the insurance industry, but I have had an insurance broker for like 20 years. And to me, as like a consumer, she's like, she really is much more than someone that unfortunately it's not Hollard, it's with somebody else, but that I sign my policies with. She also she lets me know of the latest whatever legislation, etc., but also like the stuff that I need to know from a health point of view. And I feel that something that and this is so awesome that you guys are doing this education, and that everyone on the line for taking the time, is that you are also like a informant, right? Or you an awareness evangelist in a way for the risks that are out there. And something particularly if you're dealing with any parents out there, that I just want to please like share this with your network. There is the latest, and FBI calls it the most, like the fastest growing cybercrime that there is, targeting teenage boys, called financial sextortion. It's these scammers from Nigeria that have identified, like they used to do these Nigerian prince scams 20 years ago. Now they've pivoted to the crypto industry, and now they pivoted to teenagers. They've identified if they coerce teenagers into sending a nudie picture, and they can do that by setting up fake accounts, they with AI it's easy, or they steal like real girls' photographs. Right. They target high schools or sports clubs. They will befriend everybody else there, so that to the target it will look legitimate. They then go after that boy. They will start sharing an image of themselves, obviously a fake one, and then or like a stolen one. And then as soon as the boy shares an image of himself, they'll start the extortion. Saying, if you don't pay me $300 by the end of the week, in cryptocurrency or in like gifts, vouchers, etc., we will share this image with your whole network, because we've taken a screenshot of your Instagram. So this is something that's now costing teenagers' lives. Only like 2 days ago, a friend of mine in Joburg, she said there was a case in Johannesburg where another boy took his life. This morning I read like a 16-year-old in Australia. So this is no longer just money or just data. This is actually affecting our kids' lives. And obviously being a mother myself, I know I'm hijacking the session a little bit, but I really think as a broker, it's so important that you share these horrendous stories. Just to let the parents know that, and the teachers, as horrendous as it is, there's also a lot that they can do about it. And in fact, there's a blog post that I've written with all the things that you could do as a teenager should you be in that position. And obviously we'll try and tell kids, don't ever share nudie pictures, right? Like that's preventative, number one. Be mindful not to, stranger danger kind of thing. But kids will be kids. Sexting is a reality. 30% of them are doing it. So the next message should be, look, if you're stupid enough to do it, don't take your life over it. Like there's so many things we can do about it. There's a takedown service that you can use, that these images can't be shared on TikTok or Snapchat or any of these tools anymore. You can go out and pretend it was a deep fake, it wasn't you. There's so many different strategies that the parents could and the teachers could do to help the kids preventatively to not fall for this. And I feel like maybe I can, Candace, I can share this afterwards, like the blog post has everything in it. It's just something that you might want to share with your network, particularly your parents. And then when it comes obviously to the skills shortage, sorry, I'm now coming back to that.
No, I mean, because at the end of the day, it's not just about cyber, it's almost becoming a public health issue as well, in the way that the cyber it permeates all different layers of our society. So thank you so much for taking the time to note all of that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, so the Mido Academy is that this is like a Western Cape initiative where we've realized, like we don't have enough. In fact, like globally, there's a skill shortage of 4 million the cyber security professionals that can't be filled. Obviously, a lot of them are more sort of experienced engineers and emerging technology experts, but they have to start somewhere. So what we're trying to do is get underprivileged youth that can't afford the standard university to take them through like a cybersecurity crash course, if you want to call it that way, including life skills. And one of the things I can tell you is that we don't have a talent shortage. Those kids are talented. What we do have is a exposure and experience shortage. So the appeal again for us is if you happen to have a need for a project or like something that like an internship or something that you could expose a young person that is wanting to upskill in cybersecurity. Think about that. We always look for offtake partners that will take these youngsters and give them an opportunity. And I guess also from a South African kind of youth unemployment point of view, just makes sense. We have like 50% unemployment. We have the skills shortage. We know, as Tony said, quite rightly, is that a lot of companies can't necessarily afford a dedicated security person, but you could maybe outsource or work with companies that offer these services. And again, that's where we would love to place some of these kids in. This is the second year, like the first cohort has just finished. So yeah, I just appeal again, like if you have that network, talk to your parents about all the other stuff that Candace was talking about. Obviously,
Yes.
that's crazy as well. But it's now actually affecting our kids' lives, and it doesn't have to. That's where awareness and really educating the country really is so important about how we deal with these threats and not give in to that. And again, that comes also back to being mindful, right? Like when you happen to get that hot girl contacting you on Instagram, just take a breather first before you before you share anything.
Yeah, the show on MTV Catfish has been on for about 15 years, but somehow, and that's the thing. We're humans and we're vulnerable, and everyone wants affection and attention and all of those kinds of things. So exactly, their brains aren't fully developed, all of those kinds of things. People definitely are susceptible to this, no matter how much education there is out there. But it's great, Anna, just for you mentioning that there is interest, that the youth do have opportunities. And I think to that, it's sort of from the grassroots level that we have to continue on to expose young people, and so that it can sort of evolve into their work life, wherever else that they evolve into. Tony, so I wanted to ask you, being that now you've gone an entrepreneurial journey yourself, where did you start off in terms of your cybersecurity journey? And I also wanted to ask, how are your experiences as an entrepreneur? How have they shaped your approach to cybersecurity in the corporate world? Just if we're speaking about the fact that we need to expose younger people to this, how did you end up in this landscape?
No, so I mean, it's an interesting question, but just quickly to go back on the security skills shortage, just quickly, just echoing what Anna said, is that I think that, and absolutely, we've lost some deep technical skills that have immigrated or have changed industries or have retired. But I think there's a lack of mentorship. I think that a lot of people want people to arrive in an organization, hit the road running, and it's time and it's patience and it's energy. And I think that, I mean, over the last 6 years in my business, I've taken 2 or 3 grads every year. And grads may not necessarily be university graduates, but they are exactly what Anna says. They are young kids who are looking for an employment opportunity. They've got energy. They're fantastic people. They're interested. Cyber is the most dynamic, interesting industry ever. And it's about just dedicating time, energy. It's our responsibility. I think in South Africa, we've got a responsibility. We've got a 50% unemployment rate. And I think that exactly, I mean, all those initiatives that, I mean, Anna's mentioned, that Medo Academy and all the others, I think that they are absolutely critical. And I think the financial institutions are doing a lot. But I think as business owners and as experienced people in the business world, I think it's our responsibility. And I continue to tell my team, be patient with them. They're learning. You never arrived here and you weren't ready for purpose.
Yes.
We've all been molded over the years. And no, most certainly from an entrepreneur perspective, I mean, I came into the cyber world, as I said, 8 years ago. I met with Anna. There were all these acronyms. I've never come into an industry with so many acronyms ever. I've had a black book, my moleskin, and at the back of my black book, I had all my little, it was literally like a little dictionary. Okay, C, EDR, I don't think XDR was around at the time, it was all these acronyms. But I think that, I mean, in the cybersecurity world, you've got to be agile, you've got to adapt. And I think as an entrepreneur, it's your survival. You've got to be quick on your feet. Yes. And you've got to adapt to market changes. And I think that's exactly, what the threat landscape, as we said, is continually changing. I'm coming more from a corporate perspective, obviously iTOO more from a personal perspective, which is obviously something that sits close in our hearts. But you've got to be flexible. And you've also got to identify risks. So if in your own business, you've got to be looking at, okay, if that's a risk, I've got to prepare for it. And that's your key to survival. And I think the same falls in cybersecurity. You've got to continue to be looking at, okay, there's threats, and now I've got to anticipate it. And then if it happens, I've got to react, and I've got to recover. And I think that's in the entrepreneurial world, that's the way it is. I think from a client perspective, everything revolves around your client. It'll be the same for iTOO. It's all about your customers, understanding what their threats are, what their needs are, what their problems are. Mm-hmm. And it's about solving those. And I think that's universal in any business. We obviously sell a whole lot of security solutions. That's my business. But I'm going to ensure that they align with the customer's business objectives and pain points. So, and I think collaboration and partnerships as well, from an entrepreneurial perspective, you rely on partnerships, you collaborate with, as I said, with other successful businesses, people, and you form partnerships. And in our industry, we'll form partnerships with technology providers, with industry experts, and other businesses, to enhance our business. So most certainly those are what I've most certainly carried through.
Entrepreneurship certainly isn't for the faint of heart. So salute to you for taking that on, because at the end of the day, 7 days a week, you having to look yourself in the mirror and say, how am I going to make this work? And I think the benefit then is through some of these relationships, you've even managed to form a sisterhood within this environment. You mentioned your relationship with Anna and how you both have collaborated over time. And Candice, I just wanted to pivot to you to say, Candice is also known as Lady Lives. That is her pseudonym as an underwriter. Where did your journey start, and how did it come to the fold for you to have such a passion for cyber?
Awesome, thank you. So I was working at Investec after school, so I started studying banking, and I did a banking degree, and I loved the Investec lifestyle, and I was so big, and I was so, I just felt like such a big girl. And then I wanted to, once I had completed my banking degree, I actually was approached by SHA to do financial lines underwriting, so insuring banks. And it's the exact same thing. I can resonate with you, Tony, because I was like, what the hell is D&O and PI and FI? And there's just all these words, and they say speak in a complete different language. Retroactive, like is that a real word? It doesn't even make sense. So I moved to SHA, and I was a financial lines underwriter there for about 2.5 years when cyber came about. So they sent me to Lloyd's of London, and I spent 3 days, came back, hit the ground, drove straight from the airport to my very first cyber presentation ever. So it was, definitely thrown in the deep end, because studying cyber insurance did not exist. You can do that now, but 10 years ago when I started, there was no class or course or anything on cyber insurance. Who even knew what cyber meant? So it definitely was jump in the deep end, but also because the market was still adopting to this new form of cover. In this first 12 months of being a cyber underwriter, I received a total 1 request. So I had a massive amount of time to just upskill myself. I then enrolled with UJ. I did a certificate in cybersecurity, because trying to speak to a board of directors or an IT professional who tries to question you and trick you, and you can't explain the difference between a router and a firewall, doesn't really make you seem professional. So I had the ability and the capacity to really learn about cyber insurance and then start marketing that. And I'd say the first 5 years of my career, I went to any and every presentation that I could. I spoke at every conference that I could, and went with brokers to their meetings, learned about environments, trying to understand what a kernel is. It's got nothing to do with popcorn. So yeah, it was just a little bit of thrown into the deep end, but
Yes.
honestly, the best decision that I didn't make for myself was to completely change careers
Yes.
and start something new. And now I've been so blessed to work with iTOO and completely launch my solution for individuals where you really do see the impact of paying a claim on a single parent whose entire bank account has been emptied and they can't pay for their school fees. You really do get to see the impact on that person of the service that you are providing to them. So I've been just blessed, honestly.
And we're lucky to have you. And thank you for leading the charge, not only for iTOO, but I feel for the industry as a whole. It's a relatively small market for cyber within South Africa, obviously dealing with massive exposure and, lots of requests now as people become more familiar with the threats out there. But Candice is definitely a great representative for us. And you've got also young women in the team who are coming up and learning Lebo and evidence, learning about cyber. So it's great to see the diversity within the team as well, that it isn't it's centered. And we can see that in our team at iTOO as well. Candice, you were mentioning just a few claims examples can you just maybe expand on that? Because we do have brokers on the line just to see what of the realities are once you have the policy and the claims examples that you can share with us.
Awesome. So not to reiterate what both Tony and Anna have said, but I think business email compromise is quite a issue on the corporate sort of front. So business email compromise is when the cyber criminals trick you, an individual, into transferring money or disclosing sensitive information because they're pretending to be a business partner or a boss of that company. Ransomware has and will always, I believe, be an issue on the corporate side. On a personal side, theft of funds is our biggest claim area. And when we look at theft of funds, our module covers theft of funds, so hacking of your bank account, payment cards, which is your debit card and credit card, or your mobile wallet. It also covers you falling for a phishing scam or being an innocent victim of a spoofing event, which could be somebody calling you from your bank or an email. Also online shopping, if you pay for something that doesn't arrive, that would be also a theft of funds, and the express kidnapping. So the theft of funds module is quite a blanket term, but that is where we see almost I think it's 96% of our claims. And I think the key lesson from these claims is that the importance, and Anna has said this multiple times, of just being mindful. I believe that many incidents could be mitigated on both the corporate and the personal side by just being cautious. Be careful of unsolicited emails, calls. If you receive a call from your bank that says, you have to transfer every single cent to this account or your account is going to be shut down, that should raise alarm bells. Say, okay, thank you. Put the phone down, call your bank's genuine fraud department, and then ask them, is this true? That simple call can save hundreds and thousands of rands and the emotional trauma that comes from that. So I think brokers can play a critical role in advising their clients about cyber hygiene. But at the end of the day, a broker's role is so much broader than just cyber. And that's why iTOO does these talks. We write articles, we do newsletters, we try and take that admin away from the broker so that you are empowered, your client is empowered to prevent incidents. And we will provide you with marketing material, we'll do email banners, we'll write articles, etc. We will present to your clients for you, alongside you, etc., so that you are not bogged down trying to find out, what was that statistic Candice said on express kidnapping? Just ask us, and we will provide you with all that information, because at the end of the day, unless you're a cyber dedicated broker, you have multiple other products to sell. So just ask us. That's our job.
That's why you're the #1 team and the #1 underwriting managing agency of the year.
Yes.
They really do put expert service always, and try to extend themselves as far as they're able to, just to make sure that you're well informed, you're well equipped, well resourced to be able to relay all of these kinds of things to your clients. So well done to the cyber team for always taking that initiative. I think we've got a Cyber Thursday coming up. The invitation should be going into everyone's mailboxes soon, if not already. So continually try to attend as many Cyber Thursdays as you can so that you can continue to be well informed. The people feeling safest on the line are the people with 0 cents in their bank accounts. So hands up if that, no. That's the best way to protect yourself.
So just something I wanted, so Richie, just something I wanted to read, just an observation what Candace said is that obviously in the corporate world, cyber insurance, obviously the net effect is that it is going to improve companies' security posture because they've got to be insurable. But from a personal insurance side, so from an iTOO perspective, I mean, it's most certainly, I mean, obviously discussing all these personal, I mean, from a personal cyber insurance perspective, discussing all these threats and educating everyone, I mean, that is going to make our children safer, our parents safer, us safer. It's got this net effect, this domino effect of when you raise these things, when Candace says this is what's happening with kidnapping, this is what's happening with, you know, funds are being stolen, we're being taken here by, you know, by email interception or whatever it may be. It's that education, it keeps going back to education, and it keeps going back to the fact that the more it's spoken about and the more stories are shared. I mean, you go to a dinner party, not one person in the room, including heads of financial institutions that spend billions on security, have all been taken from a personal cyber attack. Personal, you know, it's insane. You think you're educated, you know what's going on, you pay for this in your business, then you click on a link about a DHL parcel you never ordered, and now you click on the link, and now they, you know, it's like you think, but it's again goes back to Anna saying being mindful. We're so busy, we're multitasking, we're on multiple media applications all the time. And we're not present. And when you're not present, you don't make wise decisions.
Yep.
You know?
That's just an important message in life in general, you know. Pay attention on the road. Be present in the policies that you're sharing with your clients. You know, where are we actually trying to keep our focus? And if we can just center it around being present, I think it'll help a lot just to mitigate a lot of the pitfalls that we find ourselves in as well. So Anna, I wanted to ask you, looking into the future, you're going to have to explain exactly what the metaverse is, but you're on the Global Future Council for the Future of Metaverse. How do you foresee the evolution of cybersecurity in the metaverse, and what implications might this have for the insurance industry?
Yeah, so the metaverse is, you know, it's actually just the evolution of the next internet. It got a little bit of a hype 2-3 years ago, and then AI, the whole generative AI buzz started. So now we're the ugly stepsister of AI. But it really is. It's just the next sort of step where we are now into the future, where people predict that, you know, we'll be using, I've actually got one here, let me quickly show it. So, you know, we'll be more in immersive virtual realities. We can't really differentiate between offline and online worlds. Everything is sort of augmented or, you know, sort of expanded. They call it XR, like extended reality. But with that, you know, it's sort of it's just the advancement of all the technologies that we have at the moment, be that AI, virtual reality, you know, 5G, whatever you want, you know, everything that's happening together will take us to this next evolution. And unfortunately, you know, again, or fortunately, well, however when you look at it, I mean, you all work in risk. So risk does also not necessarily mean harm, but it's important to be aware of, you know, with any new or emerging technology, there are obviously risks involved. And one of them, maybe the only one that I want to focus on, again, it's more on a human kind of manipulation point of view, is if you consider real-time generative AI-driven chatbots. You know, we all on ChatGPT nowadays, and we probably have I've got my own virtual assistant. In the future, in the future, we'll have these like virtual assistants and avatars that you interact with. Now, because they're so powerful in terms of the real-time, real-life kind of interaction, if they are used by a predator, or even if it's predatory advertising, you know, it could be by someone who's trying to groom you. It could be a scammer, whatever it might be, like the power of these chatbots, they are more powerful in terms of persuasion and sales techniques than a human could be, and it's real time. So it's again like it's that if you think about it, like already now, I mean, I'm in my 40s and I'm on Instagram and I can barely control my own addiction kind of thing. But now imagine now we're in this immersive environment in the future where you might get, you're really immersed in this sort of virtual augmented reality and then exposed to real-time enabled avatars or chatbots that try and manipulate you to buy stuff that you don't need, to click on things, to believe in things, to drive that whole polarization. Disinformation is a massive problem. Basically, for the Russians, we like a playground. Africa is like a playground where they try out new misinformation and disinformation campaigns. So it's really just think about all the stuff that's going wrong in the internet right now that hasn't been resolved yet, that's moving with us into this new world, and then it's introducing these new immersive kind of risks. Imagine again, like if you're in an immersive environment and somebody's harassing you as a female, let's say, like if somebody does that on social media, that's bad enough, but now you're immersed in it, so it sounds like as if somebody's harassing you. I mean, there's been sexual harassment cases already in these virtual environments, so it's just like whatever goes wrong right now is not going to be solved, and we bringing it into this new environment. And what we're trying to do, obviously, at the World Economic Forum and similar sort of working groups, is to highlight those risks and influence policymakers and regulators to address some of these obvious, cybercrime and sort of psychological risks that people are faced with.
Yes. And likewise, the insurance industry has to sort of be looking forward as well to see how are we going to be able to provide solutions for this expanding world, because it's not something necessarily that you can sort of touch and see. I mean, I think a lot of us are dismissive. Say if we're having a conversation about cryptocurrency or NFTs or, any of these, or moving into that, if it's not real to us, it's not a real threat, but ultimately that's the world that we're in currently. It's not even a future world. It's where we are right now. And to Tony's point before, we have to be present, we have to be paying attention, and we have to upskill ourselves and learn as much as we can about this environment. So as we're moving into the end of this session, I went by so quickly. I just wanted to ask one last question to each of you, the same question, and also just make sure that we know how to get in touch with all three of you. So all three of you have made significant contributions to cybersecurity. What advice would you offer to women looking to enter or advance in this field, particularly within this insurance industry landscape? It's Women's Month. We just want to continue to highlight that focus. This particular realm, I don't know if we've put too much of a spotlight on it. So this is a great opportunity for iTOO to spotlight women in this environment. And what sort of advice would you have for people wanting to get into it? Kenzie, start with you.
Oh, good. Sorry, I was just answering a question on the chat section. So yes, I think, life's lessons are not learned the easy way. This has been my experience, at least. But if you don't ask, you're not going to get anything. If I were an insurance broker, which I truly believe is probably the most difficult job in the world, because you have to be an expert, at 40 different products, and I'm only an expert in one, and that's enough for me. So I think, if you don't ask, just like I had to, learning about cyber insurance in a market that didn't exist in South Africa, with no courses and nobody that had done it before and nobody to leverage on and no mentor in cyber insurance specifically. Yes, there are industry experts. If you don't ask, then you can't learn. So just if you want to spend a day with a cyber underwriter, come. If you want us to attend a meeting with you, do it. If you're talking to a director and officer, say to them, why don't you look at a cyber policy for your board of directors? Or if you're talking about professional indemnity to an association, the Plumbers Association, why don't you offer my solution to your members? So if you don't ask, it's such an untapped market, cyber as a whole, which has only been around for a decade. personal cyber, which has been around for less than half that. There's so many opportunities that unless you ask, then you're not going to get the answer that you might potentially be looking for. And then to be patient as well. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, unfortunately. And when you're dealing with new products, to get the market to come around to it, and it has been said, at a braai, you can always hear, there's always a story about somebody, and it's becoming more and more often that those stories are happening where I was hacked, my mom was hacked. You know, my mom, my goodness, she calls me the other day. Oh no, she got this email from, so she got this WhatsApp, okay, because she can't even say WhatsApp. She got this WhatsApp from SARS, and she's clicked on the link and it says IRP5 and she's getting this refund and some other nonsense. And I said to her, Mom, you haven't worked in 40 years, okay? You have not earned a salary in 40 years. But it's tax season. Everybody's talking about tax season. She gets a WhatsApp about tax season, therefore it must be true. She tells me about this Rama competition she won. She has to just pay about 5,000 Rand to release her funds. So I say, when did you enter this competition? Oh, I must have done it at Cresta. So I said, when last did you go to Cresta? About maybe before COVID, you know, and this is the problem, that you can educate a child, you can educate your parent, but we are in this non-mindful state where it's constantly just survive. What am I doing for dinner? Oh, I forgot this meeting. Oh, I have to write that article, etc., that we are just in a million, we have the disease of busy. So you make these little mistakes, and it's something as quick and innocent as clicking on a link. And once it's done, you know. Should I send this naughty picture? Let me live on the edge and do it, and then, you know, it's to a cybercrime syndicate that extorts money from you. We had an incident where a family had paid a ransom, so a young boy was targeted for naughty pictures, etc. His dad had paid the ransom. It was 10,000 Rand, and then the ransom doubled and it was now 25,000 Rand. So he paid it. When it got to 50,000 Rand, then it was like, okay, maybe we should do something about this. After doing the full investigation, there was it was not even a valid incident. It was a pure phishing attempt that somebody sent an email to 1,000 people. And what this guy happened to fall for it. They said they had pictures of him on these websites. They had his search history. He had not even accessed any of those websites. But the fear of him being photoshopped and then pasted on, you know, his church social media group and pasted on Facebook, they said they would put his home address, his cell phone number with these disgusting images, etc. And it's not even something that genuinely happened. If they had called us, we would have investigated that, potentially negotiated the ransom low as possible, but kicked them off the system. You know, that's the thing, that corporate account takeover, the social media takeover, we would have sorted that out. Instead, you know, the family tries to keep it quiet, and it gets to the point of total desperation and bankruptcy before they call us to say, this is what's happened, and it's something that wasn't even true. So I digress, and I've waffled a bit. So let me hand over to the other two ladies. If you don't ask, it's not going to happen.
Very important. Said like a true mom to be. Thank you, Cans.
Yeah.
If you have 5 minutes to spare, sorry, because we are just about to run a bit over, but I just did want to ask that final question to Tony and Anna. Advice to women who are wanting to enter this landscape.
So I think, so Anna, I'll quickly go. So, I mean, I'm quite passionate about empowering women. It's something that I've always held close to my heart. And I think that just teaching young girls, I mean, I've got a daughter, she's 21, and it really is just teaching them to believe in themselves and to not think anything is impossible. I mean, if you look at young boys, they won't study for any of the exams. They're fine. The girl will be overstudying, over-preparing. She still won't think that she's going to do well. And I think it's just instilling that self-belief in these girls that they can do it. And reach out there, reach out to people, pick up the phone, meet people for coffee, go and do an internship for somewhere. Just get out there and just empower yourself. And we've got such access to information. I mean, YouTube is as Anna said, I mean, we've got ChatGPT, we've got YouTube, there is such access to information that anyone can become a professional without even going to a university or a college. I mean, it's data. I mean, go to a Wi-Fi zone, just skill yourself up as much as you possibly can, instead of social media eating up all your time, because it's a time stealer.
Yes.
Rather go and empower yourself and reach out to people. And people are actually a lot more open and susceptible than you think. You know, I mean, we all want to give back, and we all are. I mean, I don't think I reached out as much as I did when I was younger. I didn't probably have the confidence, but now most certainly I would. I mean, I was very quick. I mean, as I said, I picked up the phone to Anna. I said, Anna, no, absolutely nothing. Can you help me? And she was amazing. And those kind of people are out there, and you just need one or two, that's all, who are going to, you know, connect with you and help you.
Yes.
I still get messages from young girls that worked for me years ago, and it gives me such pleasure. It's such an achievement for me. It's more important than, you know, what a share price is of a company that I've run or whatever it is. You know, if I can look at these young people and see what a difference I've made in their lives. And I think it's our responsibility. And I think I'm very big on that with leadership and management. I think you get a manager and you get a leader, and a leader is really, you have a responsibility to, you know, to look after those people, to nurture them. And, so I think that as young girls, and I think another thing that I say to my daughter often, and I can never say it enough, is when you're a young girl in your early 20s, early 30s, think with your head, please. Don't think with your heart, because the decisions you make then will affect the rest of your life. I mean, a friend of hers just left university to go and be with her boyfriend. I just thought, what are you doing? You know? So yes, be in love, do all those things as part of growing up, but just use this a little bit more, you know? Use that in your 40s. Use your heart more.
Sound advice. Thanks, Tony. Anna, okay, advice to women in this space, just to wrap up the session. Thank you so much for everyone who's hung on the line. We still have about 715 people. This recording will go on our YouTube page. So just for anyone who had to jump off at a hard stop at 11, but please, Anna, please can you tell us advice for women who are coming into this landscape?
I think I just echo what Tony and Candace said. Something that I always tell young girls when they're like, oh, is this really something for us? Is, you know, if you manage to do like a smoky eye that you teach yourself off YouTube, which by the way, I still haven't managed to do this.
Me neither.
but if you can do that, you can study cyber. You know, it's not like I was saying, you can also study rocket science, you know, like anything nowadays is. Anything nowadays is possible. And the beauty about cybersecurity is that, and I see that there's a question, I think it's by Shelley. She said, what courses should we recommend? And the beauty within cyber is that it's so vast. You know, you can go, if you really like the technology and you want to become like what we call a pen tester or ethical hacker, you can really go into the hacking domain. You could become more of a sort of governance and risk kind of person. You can go into the human aspect, which is where I'm based in. You know, we do more on the security training side of things. So there are so many layers and career opportunities across the field that it's not only the ones and zeros and the engineering, which obviously we need more women in that too, but there's just a lot of different domains, and each of them is you know, fantastic on its own. What I would suggest, if you have a young person that's currently interested, you know, there's so many, like Cybrary is a great site where you can do cybersecurity sort of intro courses, relatively, I think it's for free even, or relatively cost inexpensive. Udemy has some intro courses. So maybe just take like an intro course, get like an idea of the fields of what is sort of, you know, talking to you, what I know we said think with your head, but maybe your heart is when you feel that, hey, this is really interesting. I could become passionate about, you know, I don't know, hacking, for example, and then go down that path. Having like a foundational understanding of networking, that's, I think we should all have, like, even if you go into the human realm, but just understanding, you know, networking and sort of like a very basic sort of foundation of how technology works, because you have to, like, you know, today I have to talk about the metaverse, tomorrow I have to talk about databases and cloud, and, you know, and so you need to sort of be very curious, be interested in a million things. I'm very open about it. I've got ADHD. Perfect. You know, if you have that kind of scatterbrain, then we love it to learn new things and sort of learn different things all the time. So yeah, if you have a curious mind, the confidence, and yeah, just don't be shy to reach out. I think we have a wonderful Women in Cyber network. In fact, we have a Women in Cyber Securities South Africa affiliate where we have a beautiful sort of WhatsApp group with, I think, over 200 women now, hey, Tony? Like,
Yeah.
and it's such a nice
Growing.
network. You know, there's juniors on there, there's seniors, like. Candace, you said 10 years ago. I was in cyber 22 years ago already.
Wow.
So,
Look at that.
yeah. So I've been in it for a long time. But yeah, so I think it is a wonderful field, That's just, yeah, that's all I've got to
Incredible.
say.
Thank you so much to the three of you. What an awesome session. As mentioned, we're going to post this on our YouTube page, iTOO Special Risks. Just to thank you again for all of the insights, the importance of knowing and understanding the exposure and the risks so that you can adequately equip yourself, whether it's an insurance policy or any other type of cyber risk mitigation that you can implement within your company, your home, you as a person. All of it is important. Tony and Anna, how can people see a bit more of what you do? If you could just let us know where they can contact you, a website or any where we can see what you're busy with. Tony?
So Trinexia South Africa is the company that I'm the managing director of. I'm also on LinkedIn, so you're welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And yeah, and also, I mean, happy to leave my details. So yeah.
Great. They can always get in touch with the iTOO team as well so that we can disperse the information. Anna, yourself, where can we see what you're busy with and get in touch with you?
Definitely LinkedIn. I think that's the easiest. I worked for Noel before, so we also have a website and all of that. But LinkedIn, I'm quite active on there. Not so much on Twitter or X or whatever it's called. LinkedIn is sort of my favorite hangout space.
It's safe there, I think.
Yes.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, ladies. A great rest of Women's Month. Candace, everyone knows where to get in touch with you, but I think you've had a little bit of an email address update if you want to let us know how we can get in touch with you.
Yes, so Candace S still works, but you can also use Candace T at iTOO.co.za.
Thank you so much. Appreciate everyone who's hung on. We just went a little bit over time, but that's because we had a lot to discuss. We are women at the end of the day. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you next week, Tuesday at 10 a.m. for next iTOOsday. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Bye.
Cheerio. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mamweti.
Thanks, Candace.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.